Alright, the game is Manifest Destiny. Unfortunately, I can't show you the box because I'm using it to hold the money and some cards. But this is a game that I was very, very excited about when I first saw it. It hinted at seeming to be less, yeah, that's nice. It struck me that it was going to be a more political game than it is. And that it was, well, at least at my first look. And although I was aware, I kind of didn't expect it to be so much like what it's obviously been designed after, which is a game called Age of Renaissance, which I have to get to the table someday for you guys. My initial impression is that this is kind of a cheaper clone of it. Maybe a little simpler, but the rulebook is a lot less pleasant from my point of view. Object of the game: get your victory points up above 30. Once somebody breaks that at the end of the turn, whoever has the most victory points wins. What do you get victory points for? You get victory points primarily from breakthroughs, from these progress cards that you have on your player mat. Very much like both breakthroughs and progress cards very much remind me of the advances in Age of Renaissance. Of course, there are differences between the two games. There's no question there. Significant differences. However, there's also a clear similarity in it. What else do you get towards winning? I also say controlling the most cities. I'm not quite sure how that works yet. I haven't looked to see how that operates. Okay, but at the beginning of the game, I've just dealt out, everybody gets one Manifest, or one Destiny card from the first era. And now this game holds, I think 3 to 5? Yeah, 3 to 5 players. Probably cheated and put down 2 to 5 on my card. Yeah, my card's down there. These guys, this is my bookkeeping system. Okay, so you start with one of them. I don't know if they're particularly more powerful cards or not. And then 2 random cards out of the first era deck. And there are 2 more eras up here. Era 2, era 3, which get shuffled in. Some cards get removed at the end of an era. Others can last throughout the game and get reshuffled back into the deck. Now, at the beginning of the game, you're allowed to bid money for the right to be the first person, basically. And that allows you to choose your home territory first, and the home territories at the beginning of the game are these starred areas. They give you advantages within their own area, plus they become the base from which you expand. And where do we have initially? Well, Mexico, Quebec, Louisiana, and Pennsylvania and Virginia. This is going to show mainly the expansion through the North American continent. And a lot of stuff like politics, etc., is all very abstracted, and I had been hoping that it would be less so, but it's, you know, Age of Renaissance has the same kind of situation where you're playing the merchants. Here you're playing some sort of cultural conglomerate. It's not all made very clear in the game just what you are or who you are, but, and the rules are kind of fuzzy in a lot of ways. Alright. After you, each player in turn, at random, and I'm going to do it in the order here and the order of the colors there. So purple goes first, blue goes last. As always, we're going to travel counterclockwise because I just want to be special. Okay. Each player is allowed to select their home territory, and they get a mat indicating the order of their play. Now this is going to be kind of tight. There's barely enough room on the table for all these mats. I'll set them up when I'm done. But this is where you put your special cards, I guess, and some other stuff. And there's a lot of information on here. I don't know if we need all of this. But for example, if you buy one of these cards, it goes on the chart here, and it shows the advantages of that card. It would definitely be to my advantage to play with the mats because they're easier for lookup, but I may not have the table space to do that, and this seems like too small a game to devote a lot of table space to. We'll see if I can fit it. Okay. Then, on each turn, players get to choose where they want to go in the turn order. And they basically, in their turn order choice, in their turn order choice, whatever that's set up, and at the beginning, that's the person who bid the most first gets the first choice. So for example, if this guy bid his whole $60, he would be guaranteed first place in the turn order. And then he would get to choose whichever position he wants for his turn order. Now, turn order affects a number of things. One of them, not sure what goes where, so I'll just dump these all in there. One of them is what order you go in. And things are cleared out, easier to expand into the earlier you go in your turn order. On the other hand, depending on the number of players, you get a number of tokens that you're allowed to buy. Tokens are going to cost you, I believe, $5 each. And these are just expansion tokens. Oh, I haven't marked all of them. Oh, stupid me. I only marked the blue ones so far. Basically, when you place a new expansion, it's placed white side up. Once it becomes established, it goes blue side down, up. And again, that's very much like Age of Renaissance. There's an advantage to placing a lot of new, to being the person who expanded the most in a particular turn. Okay. What about the turn order? Well, you're allowed, each segment is done by all the players in turn order. So, after you determine the turn order phase, you go to the card play phase. Now later, the turn order, your turn order choice is going to be determined by the highest numbered card that you play. So for example, this card has the number 21 on it. If no one played a card with a higher number on it, that guy would get the first choice of where he wants to go in the next turn order. And you get to see everybody else's card plays before you play. You're allowed to play multiple cards at once. But you're only allowed, in fact, all the players are only allowed one destiny card in any particular turn. There is a modifier to that. There's one of these thingies, I don't remember which one, which allows you to go with 2. Yeah, patriotism. If you have that breakthrough, if you're the person or people who have gained that breakthrough, you're allowed to play a second destiny card. They could be 2 from your own hand if no one else has played one, or if someone's already played one, you can play the second one. But if there are already 2 out, you still are unable to play one. Okay. When the deck runs out, and it's a pretty small deck to begin with, well, you end up shuffling the next era, and likewise onward. Okay. There are a lot of different kinds of cards, and they have different options on them. Let's take a look at some of the unplayed ones. Here's a leader card, and it's got instructions on it. $40 discount, $60 discount if suffrage played in the same in this or a prior turn on airplanes purchased this turn. That means what? Does it mean only this player, or does it mean lots of people? I would have to look at that. I think leader cards are only for the player. Yeah, only the player who is playing it, unless there's a collaboration agreement, in which case There's a share, some sharing of it. So the player who plays this would get 40 bucks off if they wanted to buy the Airplanes Advance. Well, you can't start off with the Airplanes Advance. You have to work your way up. You have to work your way up the layers, and you can't jump from 1 to 3. Well, you can't buy a level 3, I think, until you have all the level 1s. I think that's the restriction. Is it here? Yep. Okay. So that's one of the things here. Others, for example, this gives you an option when you play it. You can either play Black Tuesday, which causes people to lose money, and it causes all products to be marked as in surplus. So you put a little marker here, which reduces the value of any payouts. Or you could choose to fire off this payouts, in which case people who own territories that produce something, and this is very much like Age of Renaissance here, would look up, see how many of that they produce. So let's say it's oil, and let's say I have 3 of them. Well, I would get 60 bucks for that. If I only had 2, I would get 30 bucks. So you can see it's kind of a geometric progression. The more you have, the more you make. And everybody involved in that payout gets it. If there's a surplus, the number that you have is reduced by 1. I don't know what else we have. There are some cards that allow you, and I haven't really studied them, I don't find that an interesting way to play the game, although with Age of Renaissance, that is the way you must play. Like, if you want to win, you have to know your cards. Very much like CDGs, very much like a lot of games. It's not just, knowing the rules per se. You have to know these events that I would prefer to be surprised by in most cases. But that's okay. That's why I like playing solitaire, right? Okay. So anyway, you can play a number of those cards within the restriction, but one of the problems is you're only allowed to hold 3 cards at the end of your turn, or else you have to pay a penalty for each card you hold. And I think that may be off your profit. I'm not sure. Okay. Then the next thing we hit is the investment phase. And in the investment phase, you get to choose to do these things in any order you like on your turn in it. Purchasing tokens, like I said, 5 bucks each. Purchasing progressions, that's these guys. You just pay the cash, maybe you have discounts, they could come for free. Purchasing pioneers, cities, or cards. Okay. Trying to remember the rules on this. Pioneers, in general, you can buy one of each of these, but there are restrictions on them. Pioneers, you can always grab one. And what you do is you turn in one of your purchase tokens. Remember, these cost like 5 bucks each, and you have a limit to how many you get. This is how many tokens you have to pay. So if you're the first person who plays for a pioneer, you have to pay 1 token, and it goes here. Like so. Doesn't really matter. And you get a pioneer over on your chart. That pioneer is going to help you find breakthroughs. That's what he's good for. If you succeed in getting a breakthrough, he goes over here and he's holding the breakthrough thing for you. You also get a victory point chip for it. Okay. Cities. Cities, do you need something for cities? Mechanization gives you a special price on these. Something, yeah. You cannot buy cards, and I'm not sure with mechanization how those interact, but you cannot buy cards unless you have Circus. Circus is an advance you buy for money, and it allows you to grab cards. Westward Ho is another advancement that gives you something. You cannot travel through or enter Northwest and Southwest. Okay. So there's all these little special interactions on each ability that you can pick up is one of the issues. Cities, I believe you can buy straight up like pioneers, and they're marked with these things And what's cool about these is when you have one in a place, first of all, it doesn't go away unless a card says it does. I don't know if any that do, but it allows you to count double here. So this produces ore and ore. So you get 2 ore for owning a place with a city that produces ore. Some of these places will start producing more than one thing. For example, Alaska produces gold and beavers. There are some chips like tourists and computers or technology which go on the board later based on card play. All right. Researching. Researching allows you to you choose one breakthrough that isn't already owned by anyone, and you roll a number of dice equal to the number of pioneers you have on your chart. Now you have a limit, I guess, to the number of pioneers you can have. 2 in the first era, a third one in the second, and 4 in the third. You roll these dice, and interestingly, they give you all these dice in different colors. There's no real reason for that, but they're the different colors of the different players, which is kind of pretty and everything, but I'll probably end up using smaller dice just for use. Let's say I have a couple pioneers. I roll the 2 dice. I'm aiming at these target numbers. If I succeed in getting a target number, as I did here with a 1, I mark it with one of my discs. I have a limit. Only 7 of these discs can be out on the board at once. If I end up... Is it discs? Or is it pioneers that go there? Uh-oh. Yeah, it's discs. Place a control token. I think those are squares. I'm not sure. Yeah. Okay. So, in this case, I'd still need a 2 in order to get that ability. Now, if I roll a 6 on any of these breakthrough rolls, I can choose to make that 6 any number I like. So obviously, it's kind of tricky to capture the numbers to get them all. The ones with little L's on them means there's a leader card which provides that one for free, well, with playing the card. Because it's kind of hard to get a breakthrough, perhaps all on your own easily, you can collaborate with one player per turn. You make an agreement to do so. And then, if you share all the spaces on a breakthrough, if you have them all covered, both of you get that breakthrough. And you both move a pioneer. You have to both have one. You both move a pioneer into here. This is how you normally mark one. And you each get a little card. And there's only 2 for each because you can only collaborate with one person per turn for that breakthrough. Okay? Collaboration can also be done to share leaders. If you declare you're collaborating, you're also sharing leaders. What you do there, first of all, in order to even collaborate, you have to have unity. And the 2 players who collaborate both have to have it. When you share leaders, if you use that leader's ability, each time that you use his ability, say, to buy a bonus on breakthrough or to buy a bonus on a progress or whatever, you have to pay half the money that the discount that that leader provides to the player you're collaborating with. It's called licensing. Okay, so what else do we have? Adjust the victory point marker. You get victory points based on the cards that you've just pulled in. And there's so many different places where these points are recorded, but I would say the primary is going to be on the actual cards that you're holding, I guess. I don't know. See, this mat doesn't hold the breakthroughs, so I'm just really not sure how much the mats provide to you other than the number of your player turn order. They're the only place where that's held, so I don't know. And that's the initial player selection, which is a tiebreaker in some circumstances. Okay, what else do we have? Expansion phase. Each player in turn is allowed to expand. In general, you can expand from, say, your home area to an adjacent area, and you take purchase tokens and move them. In order to move them, you have to put at least as many, well, you have to put as many as the number here. So to expand here, you need a 1. To expand into the Heartland, you need to spend 2 tokens, one of which is put white face up to indicate that you've just expanded. Why do you need to put them white face up? Well, among other things, putting them white face up increases your profit. You get an additional profit space for each new counter you put on the board. You also get a bonus of a card draw, I believe, for being the person who has the most white cards. When 2 people tie for an ability, they're both affected by it. What else? Then we go to an adjustments phase, and here, profit is adjusted, as I explained, new presences. But also, if you lose old presences, they go here and count as a space against you. There's some abilities that give bonuses. So for example, computers. If you have computers, your profit goes up by 2 spaces for each new area that you enter. There's restrictions to entering areas along the ocean. So for example, Australia, you have to have, I believe, airplanes to get there. And you have to have a city on the right coast and stuff like that. Wireless will also work. You have a minimum profit of $20. If you go below 20, well, you don't go below 20. And you can mark that in, I think you still mark it as going below. See, this says do not move any below the $20 level. I don't know why these extra spaces are here then. Okay, but we'll follow the rules there. End of phase profits, you get cash equal to your profit at the end of each sequence of turns. Safety net, there's a special one of these things, safety net, which makes sure that you get some extra cash if you're one of the lower earning players. And there are a number of others. Urban Renaissance gives you additional cash for your cities. Motion pictures, you get money from people who don't have motion pictures or television. Your tokens that are here go back into your reserves. That's about it. You can't show each other cards, which is a big deal. And money can be secret, but has to be on the table. Alright. Well, my view of it so far is that this does not look like as exciting a game as Age of Renaissance. However, we'll see as we play. It's got a similarity to it. It may be a little lighter in terms of the things you have to know and the things that you have to do. I think I've mentioned a couple of times the rulebook itself is not terribly pleasant. In order to get a grasp of what the rules actually meant, I had to read through the sequence of play. I hate doing, or the example of play. I hate doing that. But it seems like some of the rules are actually hidden in there. There's also significant information on the different breakthroughs, cards, progresses, and then a set of player notes that I think I read at one point or another, but not too heavily. Oh yeah, everybody gets a priority order token. What the hell is that? Got mentioned somewhere. Yeah, you're able to trump, I don't know where they are, and we have natives who go on the board and have to be combated. I don't know where that's noted, but each player gets a chance. Oh yeah, you have to, yes. You have to play it somewhere on the board. There's a place to put them, I think. I don't know where it is. Or maybe it's on your card. This happens, I think this happens at the end of the turn, or at the end of the game, but I'm not sure. Somewhere or another there's a space where you put one of your little blocks, and he's no longer yours, but I don't know where. I can't find it. To indicate that you've fired off your priority token, and that allows you to choose your turn order before anyone else. And I have no clue where it goes. Got little ferries here between things which you're allowed to travel that connects them by ferry. Railroads allow you to move anywhere within your region that you're already in presence. Telegraph allow you to jump a space as long as no one else is there. Lots of little stuff. Alright, well, I'm almost out of time on this. I don't think I'm going to find that that space on the board. And I don't really know what's up with these. So these give you bonuses once you get the level production. I don't know when you get the most cities bonus. The game is, like I said, the rules aren't trivial. Oh, one of the things that I found really interesting, I looked at the playtesters for this, and I'm used to seeing one of my old gaming group playtesting a number of the Tim Jim games, but here I saw someone who was never even a very big gamer in our group having playtested this, which I found very interesting actually. But in both cases, I'm terribly unimpressed with whatever effect they've had on improving the rules of a game. Clearly, they have not served in great blind testing capacities. I'm not shocked with this one that that's the case. Okay, victory points. Yeah, I don't know when you get those damn victory points. The 2 per turn or whatever. No clue. Maybe somebody just marks them. I'll probably tell you sometime during play. Okay.